We got an update on Hogwarts Legacy 2. I will go over the most important news from investor calls from big publishers and way more gaming news, so sit back and let's go. PlayStation is reporting better financial numbers than expected thanks to a new sports title and an action RPG title from China. Like, they must be talking about EA Sports FC and Black Myth Wukong. Like, they of course take 30% of each game sale on their platform, and we know that Wukong sold 18 million in 2 weeks. Now sure, most of that is on Steam, but it's still a huge boon for Sony in an otherwise slow period. So they raised their sales forecast for the PlayStation business for this financial year by 4%. Now PlayStation hardware sales are not doing too hot. There's been a 29% decrease compared to the same 3-month quarter last year. They now sold 65.5 million in total. But in the same period since release, the PS4 sold 67.5 million. Now it is worth noting that the PS4 already had multiple price drops and the Pro model was already out for a year at this point in the life cycle. So the PS5 is totally bringing in way more money. And GTA 6 will of course really help with the console sales next year. And we got a bit of an update on that game in a moment, by the way. But looking at their own games, Astrobot is now at 1.5 million units in 2 months, which is not really good when there are 65.5 million PS5s out there. Hopefully it grows over time. Like, I'm curious what Sony's expectations are for Lego Horizon, because I don't see that game sell more than Astro, even though it launches on multiple platforms. Sony also quickly touched on the Concord failure. We probably need to have a lot of gates, including user testing and internal evaluation and the timing of such gates. And then we need to bring them forward. We should have done those gates much earlier than we did. So in other words, they realized that announcing a live service game and then launching it 2 months later does not work. You need to get feedback way earlier, get a community going already, and then implement features that they want to have a more successful launch. So I would not be surprised if for Fair Games they suddenly do a lot of beta testing before an official release date is announced. So yes, the focus for Sony in the midterm, they announced, is still next to their big single player games on live service titles. Like, remember how we talked last week about Rainbow Six Siege making 3.5 billion in 10 years? Like, Sony will keep trying to get a game like that. Let's see if they actually learned. Now moving on to Take-Two, because during their investor call, the shareholders are of course really curious about GTA 6, which will probably be the biggest entertainment release of our lifetime so far. Well, it was once again confirmed that the game is still on track for a fall 2025 release window, so likely the end of October or November. And Borderlands 4, of course also from Take-Two, will not release close to that, we now learned. And that makes sense. I think next year many companies will avoid announcing a release date for 2025 as long as GTA 6 does not have a date, which will be quite annoying but also pretty funny. But yeah, Take-Two already knows of course this internally, so I think they are aiming for a September release for Borderlands 4, 6 years after Borderlands 3, which is kinda crazy. But of course, I can also see GTA 6 being pushed to 2026, because every Rockstar game almost gets delayed, and usually for GTA titles, that's half a year. Take-Two boss Strauss Zelnick did at least say that we should not worry about the Xbox Series S performance for the game. I believe it when I see it, but I don't think they will release Xbox Series S gameplay before launch. So that might be a situation there. Interesting times at least ahead in 2025 for sure. Really curious how GTA 6 will play on the PS5 Pro. As you might know, I spent almost a week with the system and we did a ton of comparisons with the base PS5 versus the PS5 Pro. I think they are pretty interesting, so check that review out if you haven't already. I'm proud of it, so yeah, link in the video description. A reminder, we're still doing an upcoming games giveaway. You can participate if you are a subscriber of the channel. Leave a like on this video if you of course enjoy these big gaming news roundup videos that we do every Sunday. Things are looking more dire for Warner Bros.'s game division. They took another 100 million loss because Multiverses is not doing very well. And this brings the total write-down year to date to over 300 million in their games business. And the other 200 million is thanks to Suicide Squad, of course, earlier this year. So they plan to turn this around by focusing on 4 strong and profitable game franchises with loyal and global fans: Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC, in particular Batman. We had a rumor that Rocksteady is working on a Batman game. Seems like that is as good as confirmed, looking at this quote. And there's now a new rumor, of course take it with a grain of salt, namely that they're remaking Batman Arkham Asylum, which would of course be something they can get out much faster, and that would be beneficial for Warner Brothers. Let me know if you want that in the comments down below. And a big title that has to turn this around is Hogwarts Legacy 2, and they now once again confirmed that it's in development and that it's a very high priority for them. And the big thing we learned is that the games team has been coordinating some of the big picture storytelling elements in the Hogwarts Legacy sequel with the storylines that will play out in the Harry Potter HBO series coming from Warner Bros. Television. And the HBO series is a retelling of the story of the original 7 books, so the new game will have some sort of connection with this. I hope it's not also a retelling, we've had that already, please. Do something different, but it could be cool if there is some connection similar to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, for example. Maybe a story that will give us some extra insight into Voldemort by going to the school at the same time as him. So that the video game will serve as a prequel and setup for Harry Potter's story in the HBO series. I think that could actually be pretty cool. Let me know what you hope to see, of course, in the Hogwarts Legacy sequel in the comments down below. The TV show is planned for somewhere in 2026, and even if it would be at the end of 2026, like 3.5 years for the Hogwarts Legacy sequel is very ambitious, especially because they also want to do DLC next year for the original game. But yeah, we will wait and see, of course. I will keep you up to date here on the channel. And let's not forget Wonder Woman from Monolith, the developers behind Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. Well, seems like we might get an update soon, because on their developer website, they now finally put the teaser to the Wonder Woman game on their website, like very prominently. It links to the trailer from the Game Awards 3 years ago. Maybe we finally get an official look at the game, like a gameplay trailer or whatever, at the Game Awards on December 12th. 3 years later. I'm holding my fingers crossed. I'm really curious about this game. Like, it will be single player only, open world, have the Nemesis system again, bring it on. Ubisoft released the first of multiple dev updates on Star Wars Outlaws with some interesting things regarding the future of the game. For one, and I don't think this ever happened, but a single player game is switching creative directors after launch. So Julian, who worked on the game from the start, will now move on to oversee everything The Division, including the development of The Division 3, while Drew, who was first an associate game director on Outlaws, is now leading the development. Like, this tells me that they are going to do way more than just launch the 2 DLCs that almost every big Ubisoft game has. We will see the first efforts on November 21st alongside the Steam launch and the release of the first DLC Wildcard. Like, they know they want to improve the combat by adding more depth and excitement to the experience, further rewarding your tactics and precision, and also the stealth by adding more choice to approach each encounter, and they also want to focus on making the character control more fluid. So yeah, as I said in my reaction video, maybe you already watched that, I think being able to shoot on a speeder and carrying heavier weapons from enemies will already come a long way. Let me, of course, what you hope to see in the comments down below. And yeah, speaking of that reaction video, I will be posting more of these on the second channel, link will be in the description. It's all connected to a stream I want to do on Monday, where I talk about the news from the Sunday video, but with you live. You will also find a link to the countdown timer of the stream in the description, and also if you comment under this video about one of the topics, then there's a chance that I will like bring that up during the stream and discuss it more in depth. It's an idea I had for a long time, and it was a great time last week, so I want to continue that, like go a bit more in depth, really share our thoughts. I want to hear your opinion, etc. So hope you can join. Otherwise, the video will be up, of course, for you to watch later. And I will also put these videos separately on the React channel. So I think it will be fun. This coming week, LEGO Horizon also, of course, releases. And in a different timeline, we would be playing Assassin's Creed Shadows in a few days. Kind of sad to think about, but the delay, of course, will be for the best. So yeah, we got some fun content this week, also on Ghost of Yotei, so subscribe to not miss it. Leave a like, of course, and check out that big PS5 Pro review if you haven't already by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.